Well, hello there. Okay, just a quick one. Right, if you've seen a past video, you will see that I mentioned that there tends to be about 3 places where we go within sort of 3 or 4 hours of Great Britain where we holiday. These 3 main places that we tend to go back to just because we like them. Not been to America for a few years now, so if I'm going outside Britain, we tend to either go to Tenerife, namely Adeje, Costa Adeje there in Tenerife, Benidorm. I know there's many don't like Benidorm, it splits opinion, but watch the video. I think it's reasonably informative. There's a lot more there than meets the eye, or more than most will tell you if you've not already been there. And lastly, it'd be Turkey. So we're going to have a look at a place I go in Turkey. Probably been 7 or 8 times in the last 15 or so years, and it's a place that we've grown to love. Well, I say grown to love, loved it straight away. If anybody mentioned the earlier travel thing I did, I think it was on Benidorm. I actually said when commenting on Benidorm, we also tend to go to a place in Turkey, and Turkey was one of those places where for many a year I'd never wanted to go. I'd always thought, no, I don't fancy Turkey. Then for about 7 or 8 years, I started to think I might quite like it there, because I had people coming back from Turkey telling me they loved it, and I actually said, if say 10 people I knew went to Turkey, 8 of them absolutely loved it and maybe 2 didn't. But the 2 that didn't would probably be the 2 out of the 10 that I thought were pretty boring and I probably wouldn't want to share a holiday with. So I thought, I'm sure I would like Turkey. Anyway, we finally went about 15 years ago and I loved it. But I think what helps us is we went to the right place, or definitely the right place for us. And I would suggest possibly, if you're watching and have never been, the right place for you. If you're watching and you have been to Turkey and you've been here, I'd be surprised if you found anywhere better. It isn't somewhere that's really overcrowded and maybe too much inland and too hustle and bustle like Istanbul. It isn't somewhere like Marmaris where it's very touristy, but I believe mega busy and maybe too touristy for some. It probably would be okay with it, because although I'm now in my 60s, as I keep mentioning, we like a good nightlife, so we've got no problem with that. We're not old before our time. But we picked somewhere a bit in between and we got lucky. We went for a place called, where we stay is a place called Overcheck. It's where we've always tended to stay. But the holiday destination to you would be Oludeniz and Hisaranu. People know Oludeniz and Hisaranu more than Overcheck. Overcheck is probably my class as a village, a very, very small village. And you can walk into Hisaranu from it. We tend to walk in regular because it's a nice little walk, a 10-15 minute stroll. And then from there you wouldn't tend to walk, you could get a taxi or the Dolmus, which is like an almost free bus, it's just so cheap, to Oludeniz. Oludeniz is probably 10 minutes away on the bus. And they're the 2 places people tend to go, Oludeniz and Hisaranu. So we stay in Overcheck and we tend to eat or get our entertainment in the other 2 places. Mainly Hisaranu for us because it's walking distance there and back if we want to walk. And what I'll do, I'll give you a few places to eat there that I recommend, that I think you'll enjoy. I'll give you a couple of places to have a drink. I'm a bit disappointed in myself because there's one place to eat that is really special and I can't for the life of me remember its name. I just can't. We've only ate there once and it's on our last holiday last year. We'd never ate there before, although we'd heard of it. And I've asked the family, none of the family remember the name, none of us remember the name. We sort of know how we got there because it was one we had to get a taxi to because it was a little bit away from where we stay. But I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. I'd go to it again and I'd find it again, but I can't find it for you now, so sorry about that. Anyway, tell you a quick thing that we liked about the area first before I go through these restaurants, because this will be pretty quick. It's about 5-6 restaurants and a couple of places to have a drink. What we were told by we met some people from South Wales who were staying next door to us, who we became great friends with, an absolutely wonderful family. What we were told by them 15 years ago, and I've no reason to believe it isn't the truth because we found it to be true. They said the great thing about that area is it's unlike anywhere else in Turkey. Most places in Turkey, you've got people chasing your business all the time, trying to get you into the restaurant, trying to get you into the bar, sort of hounding you if you like, walking in front of you, trying to pull you back and giving you flyers. It happens a lot in Turkey, I believe, and that was always one of the reasons I didn't want to go there. I'd seen it in some places in Spain and Mallorca before, and I just didn't fancy it because I believe they were more over the top in Turkey. I always thought sort of Turkey and maybe Egypt were the two places I'd not want to go because of this. By the way, I've never been to Egypt and I don't fancy it. I'm never going to go there. Some of you will like it. I don't fancy it before. I just don't fancy it. But as I say, there was a time I didn't fancy Turkey, and then I started to want to go, and I went, and I wasn't disappointed. So anyway, what he told us about this, because I'm digressing yet again, I tend to do that. What he told us was, there's a thing there that's been passed by the mayor, and what it states is, people can ask you to go into their establishment, but they can't hound you. And most of the restaurants in Turkey, they'll have the restaurant, and then they'll have a seating area outside. You know, there's a sort of step there up to the seating area. The terrace, I couldn't think of the word, the terrace. And what they can do, they can come to the end of their terrace and show you a menu and ask you to come in. You can say yes or no. You carry on walking and that's it. Everywhere else in Turkey, they can follow you. They can get in front of you. They can be down the street. They can be anywhere and you can get hounded. But he said the mayor's passed some kind of bill there years and years ago now where they cannot leave the terrace. And they don't. And he said what tends to happen is if they don't do as they're told and they get reported, they'll warn them one time. They might fine them a second time, and a third time they'll close them down for a number of weeks. Now, bearing in mind the holiday season in Turkey is probably mid-May or May, so probably September-ish, and that's about it. They have seasons then, it can get really cold after that. Might be October, but I think by September, October it's getting colder. I think July and August, if memory serves, are the warmest months. So you cannot afford to get closed down because if you're only on for 4 or 5 months, and you lose a week or two, it's a lot of your yearly take. And funnily enough, about 7-8 years ago when we were there was a place got closed down, and it got closed down for 6 weeks for not carrying out this, for not doing as they were told. Now, as I say, 6 weeks out of a 4 or 5 month window, it's horrendous. They must have lost money hand over fist in that 6 week period, but I'll bet they never did it again. And that's what's great about it. You don't get hounded, you don't get mithered, it's brilliant. Another great thing about Turkey, as you already probably know, is they sell loads and loads and loads of counterfeit gear. When I say counterfeit, like t-shirts, trousers and this, that and the other. I would suggest it's brilliant for guys. It really is good. I don't think it's as good for women. It's an unusual place. Normally, most places you go, they're more catered for women. They do a lot of handbags and bags there, and what have you. But clothes-wise, I think it's miles better for guys. I've got a favourite t-shirt of mine. It's got some holes in it now, but I still wear it around the house. I've had it for about 15 years. Some of the stuff I've bought from there have lasted me forever. Maybe it's counterfeit, but the quality is phenomenal. It's really good. You can barter with them and you can get really, really, on the face of it, branded stuff for a cracking price. It's not like cheap counterfeit. It's top end. It's brilliant. So they're great things about there. The weather's fantastic. It can get really hot there, but we always tend to get a breeze in the afternoon, which we love. The place we stay at Novacek is lovely. It's really nice. You get around with a bus called a Dolmus. It's dirt cheap, and they don't mind you when you're there. The food we find to be really good, and I mean really good. The prices are extremely fair. It's not a day place. The exchange rate is really good. I was last year. The food, they just don't stick the boot in. The beer's a fair price. Everything about it's good. So I'll give you a couple of places to have a drink, and I'll give you 4 or 5 places to eat. But as I say, the one in the mountains, or on the way to the mountains, is the one I can't remember. So you'll have to forgive me. I might post it further down the line at another day. But drinks-wise, there's a place in Hisarano called Time Out. Really, really nice bar. They have some dancers on the bar. They're normally male dancers. They're a pretty good show they put on. Not as good last year as it was 10 or 15 years ago. But it's a nice place to have a drink. The guy that welcomes you in, he used to do the tables, but he welcomes you in last year. He's brilliant. I've been seeing him for 15 years. We went last year. It was our first time in about 6 or 7 years. And I was amazed to see that he remembered me. My head had gone from dark to grey. I'd put on some weight and I'm 6 or 7 years older, but he remembered me. Maybe it means I've got a big gob or something. I don't know, but he remembered me. I like him. Nice fella. Nice place. Time Out's really good. I would suggest the best hours to go are between about 9 and 11, 11:30, then it gets a bit quiet. The best nighttime spot of all would probably be a place called Moments. Moments is really good, really classy bar, really nice, great music, good DJ. I believe lovely food in there. I've never ate there. The manager that runs it, really good. I like him a lot, and a nice staff. Really welcoming, really helpful. Nothing's too much trouble. It's a really good bar. It's a relatively new bar. I think been open maybe 2 years. We went for the first time last year, and I'd say 3-4 nights there out of the 4 nights we were there. Really good bar. Places to eat. Well, the jewel in the crown always for me had been a restaurant called Shine. I think everybody that goes to this area, that these are all in Hisaranu, everybody goes to this area that eats in this area, and especially those that know Indian restaurants know Shine. There's about 6 Indian restaurants now in the area. When I first went there was 2 or 3. I think Shine's by far and away the best, although I've not tried much of its competition, and I won't. And the reason I won't is I'm worried I'll go to another place and be a bit disappointed and think to myself, why did I not go to Shine? Shine is just brilliant. It's the best Indian restaurant I've been outside Great Britain, and it's better than most Indian restaurants in Great Britain. It's a place of wonderment. It's a great place to eat. So that's fantastic. There's 3 or 4 Chinese places. I believe the best one is a place called Dragonara. Lovely setting, lovely place, great food. It's really, really good. The spring rolls are to die for. I'm not a spring roll lover. My son-in-law is. I could eat 10 of them. They're huge ones and they're brilliant. Everything's great, but I always remember the spring rolls there. I don't tend to normally get spring rolls, but I do when I go there. Dragonara's great. There's a place in Overcheck, so not as many will go to this. It's not as busy as Hisaranu and Ulladunnera is, called Cheers. It's outside the place where we stay. Turn left and about a couple of 100 yards down. That'll mean nothing to you because you won't stay where we stay, but it was dead handy for us. The backstory to this is the guy that runs it, he must be in his 60s now. When we first went there, he was telling us, and when we seen it advertised, he was running cookery classes there. If you went there on your holiday for 2 or 3 weeks, you could book, say, for, I don't know if it'd be lessons, maybe lessons in cookery, but he'd have, say, 10 or 12 people in each lesson, and he'd teach you different Turkish dishes. And I believe it wasn't that expensive to go on these lessons, these classes, and I believe people love them. I've never been on them myself, but I believe they're really good. When we went there this year, he told us he'd stopped doing them now. COVID had a big effect on the business, as it did to many. A lot of things happened in his life, and he's got a lot on. I think he said one of his daughters had got married, another daughter was getting married, and that was taking up all his time rather than the classes that he was running. So running the restaurant on its own is enough for him. But it's really nice. Called Cheers. They do some really nice food there. Some Turkish, some British. Really, really nice. There's a restaurant at the bottom in Hisaranu. It's in a row of lots of restaurants, and it tends to get, well, the couple of nights I've walked past it, less people in than the rest. The night we went, there were only about 4 people in there, and it was a concern because the menu looked lovely, and we'd heard something about it off somebody, and we wanted to give it a go. And I said to my other half, I don't like it when there's nobody in, especially when the others are busy. But we gave it a go anyway. It's called Charisma with a K. It's at the end of a row, so it's in Hisaranu, but it's going out. It's a row going out, so it is a bit out of the way. And it's called Charisma. It was the least busy in the row. The guy that had sent it to us, I think may have been a son of the owner. I may be wrong. Younger guy though, so he wasn't the owner. Lovely guy, looked after us great. There was a party of about 5 of us, I think. The food was brilliant. The price was brilliant. It wasn't expensive, as none are really there, but it was one of the better price ones for a proper restaurant meal. But the food was wonderful. I would recommend it to anybody. And the last one would be, and this is in Ulladunnera. We've had in Ulladunnera a few times. We tend to stay more in Hisaranu than Ulladunnera, but Ulladunnera is its own resort in itself, if you like. It's, as I say, it's a 10-minute dolmus away from Hisaranu. We've had probably 6 or 8 times there, but we tend to go to one place. If we've had 8 times, we've gone to this one place 5 times because it never fails to impress. And it's called Toscana Pizzeria. Does Italian food, does Turkish food, does British food. Don't let the pizzeria place put you off into thinking it's only a pizza place, because it's far from that. Yes, it does pizzas, and very nice they are too, but it does loads of dishes. I tend to either have pizza there, or I tend to have fajitas there. The fajitas are brilliant and plentiful, but really nice. And again, I'll go back to a waiter. There's a guy that always seems to serve us, never remembers us, apart from on each holiday. He doesn't remember us years later. But over the last 3 or 4 years we've been, or 3 or 4 times, we've always got him, which has been great because he's brilliant. Don't know his name. My daughter's got him on Facebook because he insisted on taking details and what have you, but just a brilliant service. But it's a wonderful restaurant. It's another one of them restaurants where I'm not an eater and drinker. I like to eat or I like to drink. I don't mix the two. But we always tend to have a house wine when we're in there because it's a high-end restaurant. For like it's pizzeria, it's high-end, it's good stuff, really good stuff. But again, they don't stick the boot in price-wise. But what they do is they do some house wines, and again, they're always brilliant, always really nice. So that's a place I would definitely recommend, and it's a nice view from there as well. So that's well worth going to. Nice place, and that'll probably be it. So it's a pretty short one from me, but I would suggest if you go to Olive Dinners Isoranu and you try any of those restaurants, if you don't like any of them, I genuinely would be surprised. I don't think I've threw you a bad one there. And I think probably in most instances, if not all, you'd say, bloody hell, Dave's put us on some good places there. Honestly, they're lovely, lovely eating places. But I would say to anybody that's never been to Turkey, if you're going to go as a first place, try that area first. You know, I think you go into Dalaman Airport, and I think it's about 45 minutes to get to the resort. So it's a while, but it's not as far as some. But it's well worth going. And as I say, what I love, there's commercial, but not over commercial. And there's less so as you move out of it. But it's not a place where you get battered by people pestering you for business, you know, to go in their place of work, to go in their restaurant, to go in their bar. You don't get that. And it's a place, I mean, there's a couple of bars near where we go. I mean, one of them's just brilliant. I wish I could remember the names, I should be able to. And you finish drinking at 12:30, and you're looking at running your own. There's a young lad that runs a bar there. Would you like a lift? No, we're only across the way. Are you sure you don't want a lift home? And you hear that in places in Greece, you know, the places where they're not very, where they've got restaurants out the way and where it's like 10 minutes to your apartment or your villa or whatever. You can't get taxis at 1 and 2 and 3 in the morning, so an owner will take you, or one of the workers. But this is like an actual owner himself, and in a place that's heavily populated and got loads of taxis, and the taxis aren't expensive, yet he wants to take you home. It's so wonderful for that. You know, they've got a bad press, a lot of the Turks really, but I find them to be a decent people. The places we go into anyway, maybe we're lucky, maybe we go in the right places. But they're places I'd look at, and I don't think you'd have a bad meal or a bad time in any of them. Okay, that's it from me, and I'm done for the day, and I hope you enjoy. Cheers.